yeah. Don't be stressing on the dumb shit, 'cause God is gonna make a way. Just keep going and keep your faith, so you can win this race. This race called life, yeah, yeah. This race called life. This race called life, yeah, yeah. Race called life. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm grinding 'cause I know that I'm gon' get it. I just gotta have vision, keep faith and be humble. Have some patience with it. I've been A1 since day one, been always on my job. I never been a fake, never had to steal and rob, 'cause I do good business, I'm too good with it. And even though I'm on this road, I'm still daddy to my children. You know I do good with them, and don't like being missing. But I hate when my bills are thicker and my pockets get thinner. But I can't stress up on the dumb shit, 'cause God is gonna make a way. I keep going and keep my faith and my pace, so I can win this race. Win this race called life. This race called life. I'm just trying to win this race called life. This race called life. This race called life, yeah. Race called life. I'm just trying to win this race called life, yeah, yeah, yeah. I keep on running in this race called life, yeah, yeah, yeah. I won't come in last place in life, no. I'm just trying to win this race called life. This race called life. Girl, I just gotta win this race called life. This race called life. Just gotta win this race called life.
Hey, that's still my jam. No matter how many times I hear it. Peace and blessings to everybody today. I hope everybody's having a beautiful Sunday. We are coming to you live and direct from multiple channels today. Shout out to the whole effing show right now for hosting this one, making it special and making us feel at home. Shout out Ratchet Craig. Shout out Craig. If you know, you know. Can you guys hear me out there in the chat? Drop a 369 in the chat if you can hear me. Oh, I'm still making one minor adjustment. There we go. Okay. Come back over here. Are you there, Melanin Gawd?
Yes, I am here, my brother. Peace and love to y'all, man. How y'all doing today?
We have Melanin Gawd in the building of the Heavy Hitters Debate League, man. The one and only, man. His name precedes himself. I like that hat, man. I'm feeling that.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna have to order me one of them roster joints, man. What are you trying to tell the community with that? Because I always say that fashion, that your body is a canvas and fashion is art.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what message are you sending with your style? So what do you say with that one?
Well, more or less, honestly, it doesn't really have a significant meaning to me. I just have very long locks, and today I just wanted to kind of hold them up instead of letting them hang. So I had went ahead and put on the beanie today. But the color in them is powerful. You know, you have the red, black, green, yellow, which are African colors, and as well as you can look at Jamaica and Trinidad, Tobago, all of those areas of the islands. These are places that are our ancestors obviously, occupied, and we still live at to this day. So it's a history behind it.
Definitely. Much respect to that, man. And see, you wearing it with a purpose and a reason, man. So that's dope. That's why I asked, because I knew it was more to it than just, I'm throwing it on. Because them colors really don't go together. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Red, green, and yellow really don't go together. But we make it work somehow.
Oh yeah.
And go ahead and tell the people who may not know what those colors stand for, actually.
Well, if you look at all the colors of them, we've always been taught like the RBG most of our life: red, black, green. We have like red is the color of our bloodshed on a green grass. But black is obviously for the black person or black man, black woman. When you get into like the yellow, it takes almost like a cultural swing, because like I said, it's represented in so many different cultures, whether it's Jamaican, whether it's folks from like Trinidad, even in the West Indies. It's a color that's widely known. But one thing about it that I will say is that you can definitely identify one another with these colors.
Definitely.
And it just it kind of does something to you. Like, when we were growing up in the 80s, man, it was nothing to see people rocking dashikis and these type of colors all the time. And now it's like kind of dwindling away, but then it came back for a little bit. So when you see people out there, they represent their culture like that, it's kind of exciting to see.
Definitely. And today's title is How They Stole the Planet. And we're about to go in today. I'm not gonna hold back, man. That's not what we came to do. We came to give you the raw, uncut truth, about this situation. And you see who we got up there. We got your man JC. We got the scales of justice. Of course, she's blindfolded. How can she see justice with a blindfold on? And they put this stuff in your face. And if you pay attention to the symbolism, you're gonna recognize stuff like that. And we have the homie Chef Darius in the building. Shout out Chef Darius. You on mute.
What up? What up? My fault. My phone died.
Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell them who you are, where you're from, what you're representing.
So I'm Chef Darius. I'm from Ohio, Northeast Ohio, Painesville to be exact. And I'm just representing knowledge and history. I love history. I love knowledge. So any chance I could get to brainstorm and build with people, debate with people, whatever it is, I'm with it.
Most definitely. Today's title is How They Stole the Planet. I know you know a lot about. I know you know a lot about this topic, so this should be something that you definitely have some insight on. Let's get into a word from our sponsors before we get started, though. Okay, you can go ahead and download my writing journal on Amazon.com right now. Astral Projections Writing Journal. You can use this to document your dreams, astral projections, or just journal, so that way you can go ahead and get some of those frustrations out first thing in the morning, whatever. Check that out. It's only $5.99. And shout out the whole effing show. Make sure you go subscribe right here. And here's how you spell it in case you are confused. It's the DA whole effing show. Okay, let's keep it moving. Where am I at? Make sure you subscribe to my channel as well, Astral Projections 369. You can go ahead and get more of this content. Boom. What shapes your morals? This is the first slide of this little a presentation, if you want to call it that. A little something I slapped together. But what shapes people's morals? Because what do you guys think shapes people's morals? I'll ask you guys.
What I would say, what really shapes your morals is what your parents teach you. Is your your sense of values and norms that your parents teach you, and that ultimately gives you your sets of morals of them teaching you right from wrong, and at least trying to guide you in the right path.
Yeah, I'm with that. I go a little bit further and I add on to it to say it's society and the culture that you find yourselves and your parents and family immersed in, because they might give in to societal pressures and changes in the culture that makes them reshape their morals and rethink their morals. So that's, yeah, I'm with that. Our parents at the end of the day, but society, because you see how they playing with the media now and making people pick and choose between, Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, whatever.
Mhm.
And it makes you kind of challenge your morals.
Definitely, definitely. Shout out Mike in the building. Mike, you want to introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you're repping. Oh, sorry, I muted you. Hold on. There you go. Did you hear me, Mike?
Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, people?
How you doing today?
Doing great, doing great.
You want to
Man,
introduce
sorry.
yourself?
Yeah. End up coming in a little bit later. Mike from the Heavy Hitters.
Okay.
Yes,
Pleased to
sir.
join with y'all this evening. What we starting off the topic with? It sounds like y'all was just talking about the social constructs.
Just going over some basic social constructs. What shapes people's morals? Let me bring that slide back up. What shapes your morals? A lot of people say that without religion, you know, they don't see people having a moral compass via learning it outside of these religious texts. So
Mhm.
I was just asking that question and posing that question to the people on the panel to see what their responses were. What do you think shapes a person's morals?
I mean, quite honestly, morals can be shaped by a person's experience in life.
Hmm.
I mean, like I said, you don't have to have somebody tell you that stealing is wrong in order for you to realize once something is stolen from you, how much that you wanted it. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty much more like, putting yourself in the same position of not doing, what I'm saying, something negative to somebody else that you would consider to be negative to yourself.
And it almost sounds like you're describing the golden rule. Um, treat others as you would want them to treat you.
Mhm.
So, we definitely agree on that. I was just putting that out there just so that way we can get some responses before we go ahead and dive into this because, I feel like religion has people's moral compass all the way off. And we're going to get into that today. Actually, let me pull up something. Let me pull up this video before we get into the doctrine of discovery because this is what today's topic is about. Should I already have it pulled up. The Catholic
Church
Church.
has officially repudiated the concepts and the doctrine of discovery that said any land not inhabited by Christians was available to be discovered and indigenous peoples could be overthrown. Today, some are saying the church still hasn't gone far enough. The CBC's Sarah Levitt is standing by in Montreal. She's covering the story for us.
First, let me just pause this because it's funny. The two people who are having this discussion, Shorty on the right, looks like she wants the land and wants to keep it. That's just the impression I get just from looking at her. Like I haven't heard anything she's about to say. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely a stereotypical judgment. But this is wild. And what they just said was the Catholic Church repudiates the doctrine of discovery.
Mhm.
They specifically chose the term repudiates because instead of rescind, to rescind would be to remove it and get rid of it. Repudiates is more of like an apology, a formal apology. So they're apologizing for it, but they're saying, under this, they hold title to all of the land, of the North Americas, Canada, Australia. We're going to get into it. So, any thoughts on this?
Besides, it's just straight up bullshit.
Most definitely. All right, we'll let this play.
So, Arthi, this statement from the Vatican is essentially an apology for the doctrine of discovery, and that's as you said, the Catholic Church theory that dates back to the 1400s, that essentially legitimized the seizure of indigenous land. It led to, it kind of gave the green light for colonization. Now the Vatican is saying this doctrine, I'll just quote, did not adequately reflect the equal dignity and rights of indigenous peoples. Now, we know that rejecting the doctrine was...
And it's funny because, like, why did it take that long for you guys to figure this out? You see what I'm saying? She says it as if it's a new revelation. Okay, I'll go for that though. Thank you. It's about time. You know. If at any time you guys want me to stop this or just chime in, just start talking and I'll pause it.
Okay.
One of the demands that the Canadian Indigenous peoples had when Pope Francis visited Canada last year. It's complicated language, of course. Everything is very careful when it comes to the Catholic Church, and so it is being repudiated, not rescinded. So it's essentially apologizing, but not fully rejecting the papal bulls that involve this.
And of course, since this news broke this morning, there's been lots of reaction. What have you heard so far?
Well, exactly on that question of whether it's rescinded or repudiated, if you recall, when the Pope visited the church near Quebec City, there were two women that stood up during the service and held a flag that said rescind the doctrine. So some not very happy that the church is using repudiated rather than rescinded. But a note that it does appear that this meets the call to Action 49 from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And I'll just read from that to you. We call upon all religious denominations and faith groups who have not already done so to repudiate concepts used to justify European sovereignty over Indigenous lands and peoples, such as the doctrine of discovery.
And we're going to get into exactly what she's talking about right there, because the Christians, this isn't just the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church are the ones who started this, but the Christians adopted this. You're going to see that this is written into the United States Constitution. It gets really, really wild out here. And if people don't understand what it's going to take for us to, if we were to ever try to get this back, they don't understand the institutions that are in place holding all of this together. A lot of Black Christians, I wouldn't know if they would have the stomach to go ahead and let that stuff go, knowing, all of this. And a lot of times when you bring this stuff up, the cognitive dissonance kicks in, and they don't want to hear too much about it.
Yeah, they would ignore it anyway.
Yeah, and that's
I mean, they've
of hell
already
is
ignored
strong.
so much when it comes to, saying the Christian faith, especially when how they view them, saying how they view Black people, and they just choose to ignore it. Oh no, they said Jews and Gentiles alike. Like, you have to remind these people that even back then that Rome did not consider Africa to be, an ally.
Yeah.
So why would they consider, Black people to be a part of the Gentile nation? They considered us to be an abomination and savages, just like Native Americans.
Definitely. And they use the same doctrine to go ahead and, take over a lot of our territories as well.
It all starts with fear, because that's how they push their narratives, and their agenda is introducing the concept of like hell and all this negative shit that our ancestors wasn't operating on. That we had a concept of spirits and afterlife and reincarnation and stuff like that, but we wasn't on that hell and fear mongering shit stuff. So
yeah, they pretty much
fear.
made us seem like we were too inferior, we were too naive to ever be masters of our own existence. So they were completely fine with taking over our territories whenever they spotted us, because they thought that we were, they thought we weren't capable of managing ourselves.
And my question, where was Jesus at? Where was the God of the Bible? Where was Yahweh at when all of this was going on in his name?
Right.
He just letting this happen?
Oh, he agreed with it. He helped Moses write the laws of slavery. You know what I'm saying?
This
God
is the question.
God with all the destruction and chaos. God killed the most people in the Bible.
I mean, that's where they get their doctrine from. Yeah. That's why they honestly believe it's that whole story about Ishmael being a servant to them. It goes beyond that. What I'm saying, they really did not when it came to a lot of people, they did not even, especially when it comes to the Europeans and the British culture, they had no idea we existed until like around the 16th to 17th century. Until they actually started exploring Africa, they didn't even know who we were.
So they came down from that Caucasus Mountain region. We got about a minute and a half on this video. I'm gonna let this finish out.
And these papal bulls, they basically formed the basis of many property laws around the world that still exist today. So the question is, what happens now? Here's the chief commissioner from the National Inquiry.
Yeah, what happens now? Because these people own title to the land based on this doctrine, based on this Christian Catholic doctrine. And we have to add the Christians in there because they executed it as well. There's a host of different other people that we can put under that umbrella, and we're gonna get into that.
Into missing and murdered Indigenous women.
What the point is now is all of us, all Canadians, have to go back to the drawing board, so to speak, and say, okay, just then what was the basis and what remains the basis for Canada as a country or as a nation having the underlying title to all of the land here.
And Arthur, I mentioned this is
so this is step one actually in getting Black people closer to getting the land back. I'm happy that this happened this year. I feel, again, I said again, we're one step closer now to being the the forefront of the world stage and being put back in our proper place, I believe. Any thoughts on that?
I'm just wondering how far, it's actually going to go. Is it going to get to the point where they remove all of the Commonwealth governments from places like Africa? Because that still has a huge impact today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like if it's not really going to, have an impact in a place like that, then the world is pretty much still going to be in the same position, because a lot of what we consider to be the injustice that goes along today actually stems from the stuff that takes place in Africa. You know what I'm saying? The mistreatment of the people at the diamond mines, at the cobalt mines, at the gold mines and stuff like that, bro. Like they're the ones that are really being robbed in this existence, bro. Africa is like one of the most culturally resourceful rich countries or continents ever. There's everything that exists on earth can be found in Africa. And these people are being getting robbed for, centuries. And, so are they going to get the deeds to their property and their gold mines, their diamond mines, their cobalt mine? If they get the rights to their cobalt mines back, that's going to be huge. Yes, because cobalt, empowers pretty much everything that we use when it comes to electronics. That's going to be a huge turning point if that actually happens for Africa. So you're talking about, a huge swing when it comes to the world's economy, if it's going to take place like that.
Oh, definitely it's going to be a huge swing. It's going to be a huge swing in the whole paradigm. It's definitely going to be a big paradigm shift for a lot of people. But I can't see them ever relinquishing these things short of violence and murder and death. You know what I'm saying? But maybe one day a revolution will stand up to these big corporations and these institutions that are keeping all of this stuff going and in place right now. So I'm over here trying to look something else up while I'm saying that. Okay, we got about 30 more seconds on this.
Blacks, there's the use of complicated language here and exactly what the Vatican is saying in its statement. But this also does affect Indigenous people around the world. Let's hear from a Shawnee scholar and an expert on the doctrine.
We're talking about very clear patterns of domination and empire that have been used against our nations and peoples and continue to be used against our nations and peoples to this day. And that is the kind of specific language that the Vatican is not quoting and not copying to. They're not coming clean with that horrible historical record.
So the question here now is this a first step forward? What happens now? And is this statement going to lead to anything, or is it truly just symbolic? Arthi?
We know you'll continue to track it. A lot of steps to come. That is the CBC Sarah Levitt.
And again, that's just what you said. Is anything going to happen? What's going to happen to Africa? And again, I'm not expecting too much to happen right now, but just the fact that they acknowledged it, that was the first step for us to start putting our foot on their necks now. Because now we can say, yeah, what are you going to do about it? And shout out the Nerdy Brew in the building. What we getting into? We are getting into how they stole the planet. That is the title of today's episode. How they stole the planet. Let me go ahead and add this to the stage. And actually, let me go back and show the map that you were just talking about. We were just talking about all of the resources that Africa holds and how it would be a big economic turning point. And, it would flip the tide and everything. As you can see here, Africa isn't poor. Africa is one of the richest nations, is the richest nation based on its resources. They keep Africa destabilized so that way they can't ever get the footing to build the infrastructure to capitalize off of all the wealth they're sitting on. Thus, the big corporations are raping the land, and the people who are living in these regions are poor. They've turned Africa into third world countries, but yet it's, again, like I say, it's one of the richest places ever. Anybody want to add on to anything I was just saying? Everybody agreeing with me. Ain't nobody pushing back on nothing today, huh?
Yeah, no.
Hey man, it's been time for them to give that back. Like South Africa been going through similar situation, in the past like 10 years or so. But like I say, it's going to be a big economic swing if they do. Just decide to give land rights back, because like I say, even if they don't get to the point where they relinquish the mines and stuff, or the companies that are in those areas, just by them returning the land to the country and the people, they could then turn around and collect money by taxing those companies. See what I'm saying? So they could still, get back into the economic swing just by, owning that land again.
Yeah, that's a long way from now, but you're absolutely right about that. And I don't think we're gonna see that happen in my lifetime, but I know that the steps still need to be taken. And it's a battle that's going to be waged over centuries, I believe. Like, who knows? Maybe a couple hundred years, maybe centuries, but eventually, nobody rules forever. So.
Yeah. And one thing we don't talk enough about is some of these let's say jigaboos that get in power over there in Africa, and they get in bed with some of these foreign nations and start cutting deals with them to keep their people back in the same place as long as they getting fed money.
Oh yeah, and
there's been a lot of those.
Yeah, they got the Bentleys and the mansions, and everybody where they at is starving. It's sad. I'm laughing. It's not funny though. It's not funny at all.
Yeah, because what's his name? Muggleby, he was one of them, I used to be a fan of his. And my boy turned around and just went sideways real quick. Started talking about giving control of the country up to his wife, and I like, whoa, bro, what the hell?
Big
tripping big time.
The Nerdy Brew says Nigeria is serving ties with France. They mad about it. All right, let's keep it pushing. What we got?
So that's what Nigeria get a lot of they funding from. So I know they mad.
Mm-hmm. Doctrine of Discovery. Okay, I'm on Wikipedia with this one. I just, I'm not diving too deep. I like to start my stuff on Wikipedia so that way if anybody really wants to debate the topic, that's when I bring out my real sources for you guys. The Doctrine of Discovery, or the It says the discovery doctrine or doctrine of discovery is a disputed interpretation of international law during the age of discovery, introduced into United States municipal law by the Supreme Court Justice John Marshall in Johnson v. McIntosh, 1823. That was the court case. Okay, so this was introduced into the United States municipal law by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1823, this doctrine of discovery. So this is part of the foundation. I mean, we already know it's part of the foundation of America, but a lot of people didn't know that it was codified into our municipal law. And again, that's what gives them title to the land that we are on right now. You know, if you are in America watching this, even if you're in the Caribbean, this is worldwide. I almost want to say it's been one world government. You know, would that be something safe to say, or am I reaching with that one?
But the way the UN operates is pretty much how it goes. That's how Israel got their land. One government decided, made the decision for the entire world.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been that way for a while.
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. Ever since the UN came into existence, bro, we've pretty much been operating under a one world system. We really don't recognize that, but a lot of the folks, especially what they call the NATO power nations and stuff like that, yeah, we operate under a one world system.
When you bring in the NATO has an opposition though. I don't know if it's put in place to make us think that we have the. I mean, well, we can't choose between the opposition.
Man, it's no different than how we treat our politics here in America. We believe that it's a such thing as a Democrat or a Republican or right wing or left wing, but it's all the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like they all function together. All of them meet up and operate in the same building. They function together.
Facts. Okay, let's keep it pushing. In Marshall's formulation of the doctrine, discovery of territory previously unknown to Europeans gave the discovering nation title to that territory against all other European nations, and this title could be perfected by possession. A number of legal scholars have criticized Marshall's interpretation of the relevant international law. In recent decades, advocates for indigenous rights have campaigned against the doctrine. And again, you see that they just got some type of I'm not sure what the word. It's not relief, but they got some type of acknowledgement, whether it's symbolic or whether some actual change is going to come. You know, we will have to stay tuned and see. And it says here, last sentence, in 2023, the Vatican formally repudiated. I said repudiated earlier. Repudiated the doctrine. I know it's a bunch of people gonna want to jump on me for mispronouncing that one. Let's keep it moving. You know, I'm light saucing it though. You know, this is stuff that's everybody should know. This really is nothing that's, you know, I hope nobody comes up here really trying to debate this. I'm still on Wikipedia under the doctrine of discovery in international law. The means by which a state can acquire territory in international law are conquest, cession by agreement, occupation of land which belongs to no state, and prescription through the continuous exercise of sovereignty. Discovery of a territory creates a mere inchoate title, and that means that it's just recently got started, inchoate. A mere inchoate title, which must be completed within a reasonable period by effective occupation. So they come up with their own laws. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy how they just pop up somewhere and say, you know what, this is ours. We have jurisdiction over this. We don't like how you're keeping it. It's funny. I got neighbors in my neighborhood that's like that. They think they could tell us what to do and how to keep our yard. And
don't tell me you live in one of those housing associations. Huh?
No, I don't have that, but I almost feel like it. And that's what's crazy. Like, we keep getting into it with them. You know, we got some real Karens around us. They were trying to. I'm not gonna get into my personal situation, but yeah, it's bad out here, and I don't want to make any crazy statements, so I'm gonna just keep it quiet. I don't want to make any blanket statements.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think that this is ultimately like the birth of Karens and Darrens. And I mean, this has been going on for a very, very long time. You know what I mean? All the way back to when, all the way back to like the Roman converts when they conquered over Europe. It was the same thing then. You know what I mean? So this has been going on for a long, long time, and I'm just surprised that, you know, it's just now surfacing, like you said. You know, this is nothing that was not known, but the fact that they're just now acknowledging it is got me wowed. You know what I mean?
I actually thought this day would never come. So again, that's why I said I feel like we've made some progress, even if it may be symbolic. The fact that they acknowledged it was step one, because now you can always hold their feet to the fire. You know,
I mean, yeah, that is kind of crazy. It took them 600 years to acknowledge their behavior.
Whew, man.
That's crazy. The crazier thing about it is that you have so many people that need an official announcement to accept it. Like, we didn't witness it happen. Like, we just all told stories about, you know what I'm saying, what happened to our ancestors. Like, it was a point in time where y'all own other people as property, and you think that we don't think you did the same thing with land? We watched you do it.
That's wild, man. Shout out Leandre. We got Lee Mack in the building. Shout out to Slim Reaper. He said he's back on Wikipedia again. You know, I'm just light saucing it today, King. I'm light saucing it, you know. If you want to debate anything I'm bringing up, that's when I'm going to bring out the real sources for you. I hope you're having a beautiful day out there. Oh, I'm still on your neck, though. I'm still on your neck, but I'm not going to bring that up on this podcast. I don't want to put you on the spot. Not today. Where was I at? Okay. Robert J. Miller states that by 1493, the idea that the doctrine of discovery granted European monarchs ownership rights in newly discovered lands and sovereign and commercial rights over indigenous peoples due to first discovery by European Christians was now established law. At least to Europeans, Kent McNeil, however, states, it is not apparent that such a rule was never a part of European law of nations. So this is pretty much saying the same thing. How they come up with the... This is... I'm going to give them some credit, though. What they did was dope, and it's some of the most gangster stuff I've ever seen in my life. I have to give them that. You know, even though it's being perpetrated against me, these people really did their one too. They knocked the noses off the statues. They started the calendar over from year one, day one. Got us on Christian time for real. Conquered all the lands through the doctrine of discovery. These are some of the most gangster people in history.
Yeah, bro. Like, the only people that really didn't change their calendar were the Chinese.
You know, I've never looked into their calendar, actually. You gave me some homework for later. Okay, let's keep it moving. So they're not on Christian time. They're not on the AD BC in China?
No.
I didn't know that.
Well, see, even we started changing our timeline. Now they changed it to what they call BCE and CE. So BCE stands for before Common Era, and CE stands for Common Era. So they replaced the AD and the BC.
That's what they're using right now.
Yeah, as far as the scientific community.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know people in America use those too. I thought they were on like something totally different. I was gonna say I wasn't hip to that. How did I know?
Yeah, as far as like the official like scientific community, like they started changing their standards like a few years ago. They just got tired of having to deal with that. People and they ridiculous back talk. Well, why you still say before Christ and after his death? Like, you know what? We finna just go ahead and smash all that. We don't stop using it.
Okay, some of the lands that they use this doctrine to conquer, pretty much the whole globe: Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and the Americas, North, South, everywhere that we were indigenous to, obviously, the whole globe. That's the whole globe. India, all of that. And again, I like that point that I made. We've been under one world government. We just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like we've been under one rule.
Yep, for a while, man.
Now, Islam is guilty of some of the same stuff. So, what countries is Islam? What is all? I got to see what all Islam has divided up and sectioned out for them.
Oh, that's the funniest thing about it, bro. When you look at the UN powers, it's divided up by Christian nations and Islam nations.
That's how they have it divided up.
pretty much. And the only ones that are non-Muslim nations that are part of their allied forces would be Russia and Germany, which would be, and what, China and Japan, what, the communist nations. So it's the communist nations and Muslim nations, which are allied, and then all other Christian nations are, of course, allied with each other. They're the ones that end up sending large amounts of money to Israel every year to keep those people hostage.
And it's funny because the same thing that was going on back then, we see it going on right now today. If you look with the whole, the Palestine situation, I damn near don't even want to say that, but because I don't want to get flagged. But that whole situation, we can see people still stealing land right now today in the name of religion. So when I
Yeah.
say like this is a problem that needs to be addressed, when I say that these books are poison, these are the reasons that I say these things, because this isn't just something that we read about and we're looking at ancient times. We can see these same things being lived out today. And we have somebody in the back chat. Shout out Professor Ogilvy in the building.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Where you at? Where you at? I wanted to put you on the big screen. There you go. Go ahead.
Question for you. Why did you say that that these people knocked the statues off of knocked the noses off the statues?
It's a figure of speech. It just goes to show how gangster they was.
Well,
Okay,
that is what Napoleon actually did, though.
Do you have so let me ask you a question. When did Napoleon go to Egypt?
I'll have to look that up to remember the exact date. I'm
Napoleon
terrible
lived
with
in the
dates.
19th century, correct?
You said the 19th century?
Yeah.
I find that pretty accurate.
Okay. Do you have you ever seen this image here? You can actually find this. This is at the Brooklyn Museum. Because it's a common claim that's made often, right? See,
You want me to share your screen?
No, this I'm holding it on my cell phone. I didn't
hold
Google
on.
anything. I have this saved here. But see,
Oh.
this here was taken, and this is a drawing that was done. I don't know, in the century prior to Napoleon ever going anywhere in the area, and their nose is missing off of various Egyptian artifacts and statues and that sort of thing. And Napoleon was not around, and this was depicted by a European explorer who then drew it out. It's actually a common myth that these people went around knocking the noses off of these things, but it's actually it's pretty common for the noses to just fall off because the protruding parts of the erosion things that hit it, just like the feet of the Great Sphinx. But it's one of the common tropes in the conscious community that somebody had to knock the noses off of these statues.
Oh, okay. I have to look into that one.
Yeah. So there's a number of works. If you look at a lot of ancient Roman or Greek statues, things like that, a lot of them are likewise missing the noses, but for the very same reason, because the nose is sort of protrude out. So I heard that, and my eyebrow went up among other things, but eyebrow went up because it's something that's said a lot, but there is absolutely nothing to substantiate that Europeans did anything to knock the noses off of these statues.
Okay, that's one. I've heard something different though. I've heard that the Egyptians used to believe that the human soul occupied the statues, and once a body part was broken on them, they could no longer serve their purpose. There are various. It just depends on what period in time you're talking about, though.
Right. Be that as it may, there were no Europeans knocking the noses off of the statues, right?
Okay. Like I said, you're probably talking to him. I said it was a figure of speech. I said it was a figure of speech because it's a figure of speech to the whole whitewashing of. Do you agree that they went in and tried to change the color of the people on the walls, or do you dispute that as well?
No, I don't agree with that.
I think most of that actually comes from just wear and tear over time and stuff like that. We actually used to have a conversation with.
Wait a second. Brother A1, have you ever looked at a melanin map?
No.
Okay, so a melanin map, and you this is one of the ones you would have went over in geography. and also in biology. But what it's going to tell you about is that that near the equator, and especially in certain regions, there's a pretty common skin color of people in that area. Africa is actually the most diverse continent on the planet, and so the Africans range in color from about the color of Asians all the way to the darkest hues, and I'm talking about like a really pale sort of Asian European sort of color, and so they range in color. In the north part of Africa, those people are actually pretty fair skinned, and so I don't know why they would need to go in and change the skin color of the people, considering that they're fair skinned there. In the first place. So maybe you can help me understand about this claim that they were trying to change the skin color of the people.
When you want to do stuff like that, I just have to come prepared. I don't jump off half cocked. And
so I think a lot of those claims actually come from like the half cocked conscious community to just say stuff. But
I'm not. Well, the brother he just said that they were trying to change skin colors. But again, in that region, like Muammar Gaddafi is, we're not talking about an Egyptian, but we're talking about a Libyan. Okay, Muammar Gaddafi was from North Africa and was likewise a very, very fair-skinned African man. Okay, as are multiple people who are up there in the region. I don't care if you go to Morocco, whatever it is, they share skin color with the people who are part of the Arab world, who are right there. A lot of the people who would have been Greeks along the Ionian coast and that sort of thing. So this idea that they needed to change the skin color of the people, that doesn't make any sense, especially considering like, why would they need to? Europeans ruled Egypt for some time. The ancient Greeks and the Romans, for example, they ruled Egypt for some time. So I'm confused as to why you think that the people up there, that they would need to change their skin color in the first place, and then two, like, I don't know. I guess I don't know what the incentive is.
Let me see if I can chime in on that.
Go ahead.
Oh,
perfect.
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to see if I could chime in on that. I mean, wouldn't it be safe to agree that we know who the actual founders of Kemet was?
Yeah. So one of the things, in a biology class I took years ago, we actually had to look at this in particular, and so one of the studies actually showed that the sub-Saharan Africans, that sub-Saharan African lineage in the region of there in ancient Egypt was actually fairly late, and that some of the earliest people to come there to the area were actually of European lineage. Now, this isn't what I said. This is actually in different science magazines. I'm happy to actually pull up the source and find it for you, and I can share it or paste it, however you want to do it. But the need to do something like that, or this idea that the founders, were these, were whomever you're talking about, the science says otherwise. And this was an examination of the genetics of some of the old mummies and things like that in the region.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't put a name on the actual founders. I just said that we can all agree upon who the founders were.
Well, no, I don't think we can agree on the founders. That's exactly my point. My point is that according to the science stuff that in a biology course, that I kid you not, that it was an actual required reading. One, we had to look up the genetic diversity of Africans in the first place. Had to look up the differences in their skin color. And one of the other articles had to do with the earliest Egyptians, who would have been, or people from Kemet, whatever vernacular you want to use, and what their genetic makeup was.
Okay.
And if we're talking about moments from like the Ice Age period and stuff like that, then yeah, it would be absolutely correct, because around that time frame, you would have had lighter skin tone. People with lighter skin tones in that area. Just like same thing when it came to the area in Mesopotamia. Right. I mean, it was pretty much a lot of fair-skinned people, but you also had, the Greeks, like the Akkadians, that, what I'm saying, they pretty much lived, you could pretty much say they lived, they were an admixture themselves, because they spent time living with, I guess, what we would consider today to be Iranians or Arabs. And they also spent, a large amount of time living next to people like the Spartans in Greece.
Why did you say Greeks and Akkadians? Why did you say Greeks and Akkadians?
No, I was saying that they are pretty much, they lived on both sides of, of the world pretty much. where you would consider that to be, because at one point after the Sumerians left during the flood, they actually occupied that area and was like in control for how long? I would want to say 200 years or so.
Okay.
And then after they got pushed out, they moved over towards Turkey, and they spent a lot of time over there in the Turkey region before Alexander the Great came into power. Then they tried to move back towards the Mesopotamia area. But along the time when the Persians came into power, they moved back toward Greece and tried to side with the Spartans.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know what that had to do with what we were talking about, but because they was talking about the skin. But anyway, the point.
Yeah, I'm talking about the admixture in that time was still very different. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just one race. Even when you talk about Mesopotamia, it wasn't one race that was in that area at the time, and it wasn't one race that was necessarily occupying that area in Egypt when that, you know what I'm saying, started becoming the rise.
Okay, so on various reliefs and things like that, do you find that you had people who were of fairer skin enslaving people of darker skin?
Actually, you find a good mixture.
Okay. Okay. Anyhow, there is this article which you can actually find on Nature.com. The title is "Ancient Egyptian Mummies Genome Suggests an Increase of Sub-Saharan African Ancestry in Post-Roman Periods." This was the article I had to read in a biology course, by the way.
What was the name of that again?
It's Nature.com. It says, matter of fact, I'll post the thing here in the people in the audience won't be able to see it, but I'm copying and pasting the name of the thing. I'll drop the link in the thing. Now the people won't be able to see it because I'm posting in the live stream back chat thing, but I just posted the link and everything.
If you post it, it's in the back chat.
Yeah. It's right in the back chat.
So I wanted to ask a quick question to Slim the Reaper. Are you familiar with a series of books? It's called the Mystery School of the Anu People. It's written by George W. Singleton.
The Mystery School of what?
Of the Anu People.
No.
Okay, so in this particular book, it gets into the archaeological findings and a lot of. Here, I'm going to actually bring it right up here. Are you familiar at all with something called the Terra Netertau?
No.
Okay, so this hieroglyph is actually an artifact that dates back to the pre-dynastic period. They kind of quote it from like the circa 5000 BC, and it's discovered by. Ironically, it says it was discovered by British Egyptologist Flinders Petrie in the Abydos pre-dynastic burial grounds. Petrie took over at Abydos. The French Egyptologist, I'm sorry, Abby Emile Amalou. Amalinu. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm butchering the name, but I'm going to share this whole file so you guys could check this out. But what it says is that he had previously been dismissed for the Black African Anu people, were the original founders of the ancient Egyptian Kemet theory. So what they were saying that it's ironic because the Terra Netertau proves that the Anu theory was actually true, and it shows when it was first discovered. This particular Terra Netertau, it has all of the features of what those people actually looked like at that particular time period. So what they were saying is that through like even the work of Diop and some of these other folks, what they were able to kind of come to a conclusion on that the modern world was actually rampant with like fascism, including racism against Black Africans. So what they presented was irrefutable evidence brought forward by that Amalinu, Diop, James, and several other Egyptologists, what they were saying is it was founded upon 4 Black African tribes, which were like Nubians, at some point Cushites, people from the Moro area, and collectively they were called the Anu Antanu, or the Anu people.
Okay.
So these were Black African tribes, brother.
Okay. Well, so I don't know what you mean when you say Black in reference to Africa. So what maybe first define Black, and then let's talk about, because I just want to let you know we're going to go.
Well, I do realize that it's a social construct that we use. But
when you say Black in this context, let me put it in question form. Are you referring to their skin color?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you say Black Africans, you're meaning that these people, the people who founded it, were particularly dark, that they were of a darker hue?
They were of a darker hue, yes.
Okay. And the papyri, I'm sorry. It was the was this a stele or something like? What was it that we're talking about?
This was the Terra Netertau.
Okay.
And there's a series of hieroglyphs that actually depicted it depicted what would be considered Black African people. I mean, it's just unrefutable. They had the wider nose, wider lips.
Okay, you got a picture of this so we can see their noses, because I'm trying to figure out at this stage.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to send into the chat.
At this stage, I'm sincerely curious as to how the hieroglyphs were depicting a wide nose, because I'm just thinking about sort of art history, and the way that certain things were depicted through time, and so I want to see these wide noses. And what year was this? Because you said irrefutable or whatever it is. But what I just cited was a 2017 article. What year was this you were talking about? This irrefutable evidence?
You said 2017. This particular
this
like
was
like I said, there's a series of these books, and there's new revisions, obviously. But
right.
This
but
is
the one
actually,
you're citing, when did this come from?
This is 2003. This is volume. This is the first volume.
Okay, so 14 years later, when they did genome studies, because you said it's irrefutable, then can you possibly explain the genetic sequencing that was done in 2017? How would you explain it?
Are you asking me to explain that from sources from 2004?
Well, yes, because what you said is that it was irrefutable, and what that means is that there's not going to be anything that can be done. And so if there's genetic testing that's done on mummies and things like that, that says that the sub-Saharan African ancestry comes in post-Roman periods largely, at least largely. This is what the study. I didn't write the study. It's what the study says. Can you explain it then? Can you explain the sequencing on the mummies there that suggests that the earliest ones are European?
Okay, I just dropped that link in the chat for you all, because I really didn't have another way of sharing it. But let me go into what this actually says here, because I don't want to misquote anything.
I don't see the link.
It should be right in the YouTube chat.
Okay.
It's not showing up.
Let me see here.
Hey, when was ancient Kemet formed? Like as a unified, when was that formed? I'm gonna grab one of my Egyptian history books over here 1 second, and then I can hear you though.
Okay, let's get to that right now. Let's see. Let's get to that information right now in this book. Because like I said, I like to be exact as to what this quotes. I don't want to quote my own thing. Here we go. We're coming up on the dynastic periods. But I can tell you from what I have studied that there's like not really a definite time of when Kemet actually began. They have a guesstimate time.
So, what time? Like around what time? Like, give me a range. I'm holding a book.
I think it's saying around here, around 31 BC, but it's actually more adhered to the first of the dynastic kings, not necessarily the foundation of the civilization. So probably.
I'm confused as how you're using civilization, and how are you defining a civilization?
Well, at first you have to have people, you know what I'm saying, before you even get to the point where you start organization.
But having a group of people, right? Like if you have nomads or settlers or something like that, that's not a civilization, is it? Civilization, like in this context, civilization
if we're not going to modernize the term of civilization to the standard that we use today, then
no. Well, listen. Okay, so were they using civilization back then?
No, so if they were constructing buildings and they were living together, then that would be.
That's not my question, because you said we're not going to modernize the term civilization. So my question is if we're not going to modernize it, that suggests that there was an older using of the term civilization. That's why I'm asking you. Were they using?
No. What I'm saying is before the first king, there was probably like maybe maybe 100 years or so before they actually established that order. You know what I'm saying? They probably collected together in that region,
right?
Because even after, but here's the thing though, even after. Okay, hold on now. Even after they established that rulership, they still had authorities in different regions of the area. So more than likely, if we're just looking at the ancient constructs of what the government system was ran on, then more than likely there was probably like around, like I said, like 100 or maybe 200 years period where these people lived together, what I'm saying, but separate, not under one unified structure.
That's fine, but that's still not an answer to my question. My question is you said we're not going to modernize the definition of civilization. So I'm asking you, were the ancients using the term civilization or anything like that?
What? I'm not understanding that question.
So watch this. So if I let me give you an example. In the King James Version, which is not a version of the Bible I typically use because it's an outdated version of English. But in the King James Version of the Bible, one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. Today, people take the thou shalt not kill verse, and they say that this means you're not supposed to have any animals or anything like that. However, to do so would be a logical error. It's a logical error where you are equivocating terms. These terms have two different meanings in two different contexts. In the 17th century, when they were writing thou shalt not kill, it had the same definition of our modern word murder. So if somebody said today that the Bible says you cannot kill, I would say what you said, and I would say, hey, no, you have to, like, the way that they meant kill in the 17th century is not what we mean by kill today, where you could kill irrespective of any sort of moral position. And the kill also has other definitions. You might kill your engine or something like that. Right? You might, I don't know, you might kill somebody on Call of Duty. But I'm asking here, when you say that, I'm asking, was there some ancient definition of civilization that you're using? Because you're telling me not to modernize it. That must mean that there's an ancient one.
No, you asked me if there was a civilization back then. I'm saying before the construct of the actual government, yes, right. There had to have been a group of people living together amongst themselves.
And then I pointed out to you that people living amongst each other, right? To use a definition of civilization that's going to be used when talking about any civilization. As a matter of fact, it's a really awesome book here, and it actually goes into ancient Kemet and other places like that, Babylon and things like that. It goes into what civilizations are and what they were before Rome and Greece. So, but a civilization has a specific meaning and definition. So when you said that there was this civilization before the early dynastic period or before the first dynasties, I'm asking you, what do you mean by civilization?
Okay, it would go a lot faster if you just went ahead and expressed whatever definition of civilization you're trying to get.
You use the term.
I know. Look,
your term.
I already did that. I already did that.
So what you're saying is having any group of people together is a civilization?
If those people are working together on the common goal for survival, yes, that is a civilization. So that is a structure. That's the structured foundation.
So nomads have a civilization. They're not even in the same place. They have a civilization.
Who are talking about nomads? I'm talking about the people. Look. Look,
So here's what I'm
way
doing.
look,
If
you're
you
way
lay
off
out
feet. You're way
rules,
off talking. We're talking about the people of Egypt, and you asked when was the civilization founded. I
you
mentioned
just said
the first dynastic period, and I said there was more than likely 100 years or so where these people lived together as a civilization before they came together under that
right,
one structure.
right. Except for one, that's not what you said or how you said it. You just jumbled all of that up. What I asked about was when the civilization you came to be. You came back and said you said that they had a unified kingdom. That there was really no date, but they did have a unified kingdom, and with the first dynasties and things like that. And then you said, but they had a civilization before that. And then I asked you, how are you defining civilization? You used the term. So I'm asking you how you're using it. I could define the term, but if you're using it differently, that's what's important. I'm asking you, what do you mean when you said
Okay.
civilization?
How many
Hang on,
times do I have to answer the same question?
Last thought. You then turned around and said, if you have people working together for a common goal, that's a civilization. I told you, and I came with a counterexample. That's what I'm supposed to do. You lay out the rules. You said that a civilization is this, and that means anything that fits that definition is going to be.
Oh dear God!
So you said civilization. I came back and said, so like nomadic peoples who work together for a common goal of survival. That's a civilization.
So what was your point about Egypt again? Because you way off topic.
I asked, no. Listen. So here's the point. Don't call it a civilization if you don't know what a civilization is. That's a very specific term.
Oh dear God. Okay, go on. Go ahead with your date then.
And then when you say 100 or 200 years prior to, well, he's not talking about 1 or 200 years prior to. He's talking about over 2,000 years prior to that you had the founding of ancient Kemet. And that's why I'm asking the question. When do we have ancient Kemet? And then he said pre 5000 BC or whatever it is. And then you came back and said 1 or 200 years. So when do we have ancient Kemet? So we can see the founding of ancient Kemet by these dark Africans. That's
what they have here written down here in this particular book. It says the dynasty of the humans, as determined by the ancient Egyptian mystery school on or Anu, trained historians Herodotus and Manethos, right, began in circa 8000 BC. In Kemet proper. However, modern conventional Egyptology separates this period into what they call the pre-dynastic period and the dynastic period, with the first pharaoh of first of Kemet as a decimation point.
Okay.
So that first pharaoh recorded would be Narmer, obviously.
Okay, right. But okay, so let's circle back. You say that this comes from Herodotus?
Yes, they where it gets into with that, it says that they actually trained at those mystery schools.
Okay, who trained at those mystery schools?
Herodotus and Manethos.
Okay. And what time period did these people come from? Herodotus, for example?
Let me see.
These are ancient Greeks you're talking about, right? You picked up the Greek names?
Yeah, I understand that these are Greek names.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that everybody's tracking along. The history you're talking about comes from ancient Greeks who then later came and ruled Egypt during the Ptolemaic dynasty.
Yes, but what they're doing is they're confirming.
No. Hang on, wait. Because you talk about 8000 BC. When did Herodotus live?
Let's see. Let's get a timeline for him. Okay, let's get a timeline for him. We're looking at he's like around 484, 425 BC.
So just so everyone's tracking along, 484, 485 BC. That is, I don't know, 2,500 years ago or so. Yeah, 2,500 years ago around. Herodotus allegedly was trained at some mystery school that told him that, I don't know, 7,500 years prior to him that this thing happened, and he learned this from some mystery school. And so this
it's not that he learned it; he saw the actual glyphs, brother. That's the point.
Okay, listen, you can say that all you want to, but here's one of the things that we know happened. Here's the irony. What started out here is that these people came in and they changed the history of ancient Kemet. And then what we just heard is that this brother who's just got through speaking just now has built his history on something he got from the ancient Greeks, who came in and ruled ancient Egypt. And so
no, that's not where I got my history, brother.
Well,
Don't
okay,
conflate,
cool. So
don't conflate my words.
did you just reference two Greeks?
I referenced two Greeks, but you didn't hear me out why I did.
No,
we were talking about
we were
talking about this Peritile Neter, which is actually a artifact of antiquity that absolutely proves who the founders are.
What's integrity?
Hold on, let me see if I could bring it up on my laptop, and if I can get in my drive on here, and I'll just share my screen. You guys can see it for yourself. This book is actually a well accredited book. So I'd like to see you see what you got for it, brother.
I'm just asking questions. Listen, this y'all please. Listen. I'm just trying to figure out the timeline. Of how this stuff all works. That's all.
Well, no. What I'm trying to say is these were just people that actually mentioned. They obviously they do point out that these are Greek folks in this here book, but what they are doing is they are actually confirming what the early findings were, and so
early findings from who?
Of this Terra I'm talking about.
So you're saying that the Terra confirmed what Herodotus said?
No, brother. Listen, let me go back again so I can give you a proper what this actually says. Okay, so what they had came to the conclusion was, and this was all these archaeologists and Egyptologists, along with Diop and this Amalinu person.
What's Chief Ante Diop? What's his specialty? What's his education in?
Well, I'm telling you, he was accompanied by archaeologists and people that have the credentials for those dig sites.
Well, I know, but that's not my question.
It doesn't really matter. The central focus is not Diop here.
I'm asking about the credentials of the people that you're referencing, because you made it a point. You talked about archaeologists and all of these people. So I'm asking, what is Chief Ante Diop? What is his specialty? What does he specialize in?
Diop actually was
his education mean like what are his degrees in?
Diop was he was more into let me see. What is his? Let me tell you exactly what his is.
Okay.
I want to give you his exact degrees. He does hold a degree in economics, and that's from the universities of Warwick and Nottingham in England. He also earned a doctorate from the Sorbonne for his studies in the 18th century of French literature. Let's see, what else did he go into? He was basically a historian. He's into anthropology.
Well, so what did you list? What of what you just listed there has to do with being a historian?
Well, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but anthropology does deal with history, brother.
Okay, so did you read that he has any degree in anthropology?
It says that he was a historian, anthropologist, physicist, and politician.
Listen, my question is not a difficult one, and whoever Chef Darius, I don't know who you're talking. Who's lucky? It's not me. So my question is what is his education in?
Well, that's what I'm giving you. What is named here? What's named here?
No, so if you just Google search it, listen. So people call themselves all sorts of things. I'm asking specifically his area of expertise, that where he went and showed that he earned the credentials to be called blank. What is his educational background?
Well, he went to the University of Dakar in Senegal. He had studies in Paris, of course, which I mentioned. He went to the University of Paris.
You said he was in England or something before. Was he in Paris, or was he in like England or something?
Well, that's what it says. He said that he was in Paris. Prior to that, what I had said was that We all know he's a Sinhalese historian, anthropologist.
Well, you keep calling him a Sinhalese historian, but part of the problem is that actual classicists and historians have responded to Diop's claims on repeated occasions. People who actually have backgrounds in history and classics, there are entire books written in response to these people, and it's part of the reason why I'm pointing this out. So when you came on talking about, and this confirmed the work of Diop and blah 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 blah, but again, so like it could be Diop.
Well, see, again, I didn't say that. Again, you're conflating what I said. What I said that this confirmed the work of what's his name?
You didn't say Diop?
Diop was one of the names I mentioned later with the other Egyptologist and
is Diop
anthropologists that were named in there.
Is Diop an Egyptologist?
They have him marked here. Actually, I'm going to tell you exactly whose work it was. It was the Abi Emil Emelenu. That was the person whose work this was.
Okay.
Diop was just one of the people that was actually on that dig site. But like I said, he doesn't really hold a big relevance of importance to what I'm talking about. I don't see why we're going to shift the direction to Diop to discredit him.
Well,
it has nothing to do with the overall picture. The bottom line is the Terra Netital. Brother, the Terra Netital exists whether you want it to or not.
Listen, the Terra Netital can exist. Listen, artifacts can exist all of the time. The conclusion, however, was drawn by the people that you listed. And you listed their names, and you listed their credentials and titles and things like that. So I started asking questions about specific.
Well, no, because if you want, I can go back and I can give you a whole list of people that.
I just want to finish the thought. You can. There's a reason why I mentioned this is because it's for the very same reason. Like for the brother who's hosting this thing right here has no earthly idea what he's talking about. Not you specifically. You and I haven't went too deep, but I watched the other brother's videos. What happens is that you all grab completely unreliable authorities on subjects and then build an entire worldview.
Well, how do you come to that conclusion if you don't know my actual source? You haven't sat down and reviewed it.
Well, I sat and asked you. Well, so this is why I don't even sit down and review it. You're explaining me the source, and you name dropped certain people. I then started asking you about those people specifically. I started asking you about timelines and all this. Listen, I'm asking specifics to multiple people on here based on what was stated. I'm not the one who did the research. You all done the research, and it sounds like you all have been in this for some years. I'm a novice. Hey, I just want to know questions. So when it was stated that there was a civilization by someone here, I want to know what civilization meant. When it was stated that that there was a civilization, all that kind of stuff, and prior to the unified kingdom, I'm just asking questions, and I'm just wanting to see if this stuff can withhold scrutiny. That's all I'm asking. So,
no, don't get me wrong. And it should go under rigorous scrutiny. Honestly, I mean, I don't believe in things going out there like that. And just, I don't believe in being disingenuous. You know what I mean? So, no, what I'm trying to give you, and I'm not showing why this isn't showing up. Let me try it again. I'm going to try to share this one more time into the actual chat. This is the YouTube live chat. I'm going to have to drop it in. Unless I do it a different way, but let's see.
Okay. Well, here's I guess the question.
I'd just like for y'all to open it up. It's a PDF. This is in PDF form, and I can guide you right to the direct pages and everything to it, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about.
MSA.
Yeah, see, I'm not seeing it drop here. Let me see. Let me see if I could do this a different way. Let me see here. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get into my drive and then see if I could share that file. That way.
So I don't know. So which one of you is responsible for the blog site that was dropped in here a second ago? The MS Afropolitan.
MS Afropolitan.
Yeah. Somebody dropped the MS Afropolitan.
Yeah, that was me that just dropped that in there.
Okay. And so
okay.
the blog site, that's what we're using here.
No, not for me, but that's what he just dropped.
Okay. So
I just skip over the other source.
Which source? I just click what come up. So first of all, it shouldn't matter which source I click. You dropped them both. Well, my question is the feminist blog writer. This is one of your sources.
Why'd you skip over the other one?
I don't know why I keep saying why I keep skipping. You posted two sources. I just clicked. So I just looked. I had the thing full screen. I had the thing full screen. It doesn't matter. But my
before you attempt to discredit the individual,
I'm not discrediting anything. I'm asking you a question.
You immediately tried to discredit it by calling them a feminist, as if being a male or female matters in existence.
Okay.
Does the truth matter or not?
First of all, the term feminist has nothing to do with being a male or female. Again, that's just.
I didn't say anything. I did not stop insinuating what somebody is saying. Understand what they're saying.
Okay. So first of all, and as a matter of fact, I actually clicked both of these links. The first one doesn't say anything. It says Paleolithic cultures. It's not saying anything about there being a civilization or anything like that related to what we're talking about. I read this one. I read both of the ones that are in here. The Met Museum. It shows.
So you didn't read anything about the Nile Valley culture that existed there?
No. Listen, I've never disputed or said anything even related to there not being people who were there, or there being a culture that was there prior to.
Okay, but when this man was just talking, when he was just talking about the black founders,
I asked them. No. Listen, this right here.
So when I share a story about black people or black civilization that was living there, back around
dark-skinned people living here, you showed that there were people living here. There's nothing. There's literally nothing in this link whatsoever. And anybody.
And what color? What race? What race? Neolithic. What race? No. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going because this is what we were just discussing. Now you want to try to nitpick your way through it. What race were the Neolithic people that lived in the Nile Valley area then in that period? Yes, it does, because we were just discussing who the founders were. We were just discussing. We was just discussing who the founders were, sir.
Okay.
So how does it not matter anymore?
So watch this. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm requesting permission to share.
Stop discrediting yourself, man.
Now listen. So he's gonna overtalk. But watch this. The claim that was made was that there was irrefutable proof that the people who were in this region were dark-skinned Africans. That's the claim that was made. I don't know. That's the claim that was made. I didn't say that. Listen, he said they were dark-skinned Africans. It was also said there was a civilization there prior to being a unified kingdom. This is what was stated. So, and okay, I thought I heard you say Europeans was Kemet before Nile Valley Africans earlier. No, that's not what I said. What I said was that according to the Nature article, that it said that sub-Saharan Africans were late. They were latecomers to the region. I didn't say it. That's what the Nature.com article says. Argue with them. That's what it says. That's what we went over in the biology course. That's why I knew what it was off the top of my head without before looking it up. Now, that being said, there are two claims made. There was a civilization that was here before there being a unified kingdom, and then that these people here were dark-skinned Africans. That's the claim that was made. This was one of the sources that was dropped here. And so I'm looking at it now, and I'm asking, where does this here bolster that point at all? Only thing it says is that there are people here. It does not logically follow that the people here were of any particular race or anything like that. It just doesn't follow. Now, well, watch this. I want to. So this is the other article. This is the author of the other article. This is a feminist blog writer, contemporary feminism. This is a blog site. It tells you right here, it's a blog site. And so these are the two sources. One of them is a feminist blog writer writing something, and the other one is this one. It doesn't say any of the two things that were stated. Not a civilization here prior to there being unified kingdom, and nothing to do with there being dark-skinned Africans who founded it. Not that there's not people who were there, because before Rome came together in I think 757, I think it was, there were people who were there. There were hill people. So what makes Nature.com credible? That is a very laughable question. One of the things that makes any person credible is that you've earned your credibility, that you have that you have the credentials. That's what makes a person credible. It's your credentials. It's part of the reason why you get credentials for credibility. So when you have scientists, things like that, the same thing that made the people that were referenced not by me, but by the other gentleman who's up here. This gentleman here was referencing archaeologists, scientists, anthropologists, whatever it is. The same thing that makes these people credible, that they have done the work to show that they know what they're talking about. So neither of the two sources have anything to do with
Sir,
I'm gonna
can
get
I
ready
ask you
to
something?
see if I can share this now.
What source have you provided that there was another group besides Africans living there? Because even you just admitted that there were people. You called them hill people.
I literally
How you gonna? And
I literally
ain't that some Eurocentric bullshit? You just call them hillbillies. You just tried to discredit their existence by calling them hill people.
discredited whose existence?
These people had artifacts. They had their entire culture. You
First
call
of
them
all,
hill people?
No, sir.
You call them hill people? Who are hill people, sir?
Do you know what people I called hill people?
You said when the Romans arrived in Egypt, there were already people living there, and you called them hill people.
Sir, with respect, that's not what I said.
Holy shit! Somebody else said it then.
What? No. You have a hearing and a comprehension issue. What I said is, before Rome existed as some unified kingdom, before the first 7 kings of Rome, before that time, there were already people who were there. I'm talking about ancient Rome, which came together in 757 BC. That's what I was talking about. Rome, 757 BC. I don't know what you heard, but that's not what I said. That's why I gave and I said I believe it's 757. That's when there became Rome.
Did you still need this source?
No, sir. I'm turning it off now.
No, that was me. My bad. My computer fell over. I had left the room for a second. I'm back though. I had to get on my phone so we can continue this. Go ahead.
Listen, here's my point. I'm gonna let you brothers get back to Rocky. I think, and this is my belief, and y'all can chop me up or whatever afterward. This is my belief. I think that a lot of the times, you all accept these mythologies, and you accept these mythologies because you think that that was not a circle answer. I'm sure you mean circular. That was not a
hold on. How's it a mythology with archaeological evidence? Okay, it's not mythology at that point.
Okay, so
it's confirmed.
Okay, so archaeology, the study of trash, right? What archaeology?
Wow, you just discredit everything in existence, huh?
Okay, no. Listen, hang on. Archaeology is literally called.
Archaeology is the research of trash. I didn't ever heard that point of view before. Isn't that most?
I've heard that.
That's like ridiculous.
I am absolutely happy to grab a book off the shelf and read it to you where it says that.
Oh, I'm not disputing you, brother. I'm taking anthropology.
No, not you. Yeah, not you. Archaeology is literally the study of trash. That's what it is. It studies trash things like that. That's what it does. Like for example, when they study ancient Greece, when archaeology and largely it's archaeology that's responsible for much of what we have of the history of ancient Greece.
Trash left behind and made by who? It's the question that's answered by archaeology.
Okay. So when they are putting together a history of Greece or the prehistory of Greece, most of this stuff is examining potsherds. It's broken pieces of pottery, and they put together this stuff from looking at pottery. So it's the stuff that's been thrown out. And pottery was so rich there, you get. So that's why they were doing the ostrakhan and things like that. So archaeology is the study of trash. So yeah. So for example, Oxyrhynchus Egypt. Whatever Oxyrhynchus Egypt was, it was like a trash dump. So you have a bunch of papyri things that are thrown out that they're harvesting. They're working through loads and loads of trash. That's what archaeology is.
Yep. The first place they look when they go to a new site is to try to find the trash.
Yeah. Because you could tell what people ate, like any number of things. Yeah, like that's what you do. So they're looking through things like that. So I don't know why you balked at me saying that it's like the study of trash, things like that. So when you're saying, so I guess I'm just trying to.
No, I'm wondering how you rambled off to the point that we're talking about mythology when we're talking about archaeology.
Well, I was in the middle of making my point and saying that I think that you all have accepted a certain mythology as it relates to a lot of things with Black people. And the point is, I don't think it's necessary. I think there's many enough accomplishments in the Black church, or in parts of Africa, or anything to do with Black people. There's numerous actual real accomplishments that we can look at and we can study without having to accept the mythology.
Hey, no,
Okay, I
y'all take
think
it for now. I'm doing something, man.
I may be able to actually share screen with y'all. I'm able to bring this up on my screen here. Just to kind of give you a.
Is anybody else seeing me on the big screen? What?
Sorry about that. Sorry about
Hold on
that.
1 second.
I keep looking at my face.
Sorry.
Okay.
Chef Darius says, do you have any firsthand accounts written down or inscribed that depicts white folks in hot-ass Africa?
So I guess I don't know which period of time that you're talking about, because we know for a fact, firsthand accounts from like the Ptolemaic dynasty, that these were Greeks who were in hot-ass Africa. We know that the Romans were there in hot-ass Africa prior to. It wasn't.
They did not cross the desert, and even Alexander spoke about how he tried to do it and how they died.
What does that have to do? Listen, he said hot-ass Africa. Now you're saying now you're talking about crossing the desert. Is Egypt not in the desert?
Egypt was not always a desert.
I'm sorry?
Egypt was not always a desert.
Was Egypt a desert when the people were there? Was it a hot desert when the Romans and the Greeks were there? This is a yes or no question. Was it a desert at that time?
I don't have the topography to, you know what I'm saying, skills to tell you the answer to that one.
Brother A1, was Egypt hot? Matter of fact, listen to this. Was Egypt a desert? That's the first question. Was Egypt a desert at the time the Romans and Greeks were there? Two,
no.
Was it hot there?
It wasn't a desert. It was fertile. It's F. Fertile as F.
Was it hot?
I'd say it was hot. It's Africa. I would say it's always hot. It's close, close. Go ahead.
Close to the equator. No, I wouldn't say anything. I think somebody yawned or something.
Oh, I was gonna say it's closer to the equator, depending on what part. But I would say it's always hot in Africa.
Okay. Now watch this. If it was fertile and stuff at the time and not a desert at that time, then think about the question. If that's your all's contention that it was fertile at the time, it wasn't always a desert, and the topography was different, or was more fertile and more rich, things like that, then what's the problem there with there being Europeans in hot-ass Africa, and that point in Africa, if it's fertile and there's all kinds of stuff living? He just said it was fertile. So then the argument that white people wouldn't have been there, well, if plants and things like that are surviving, why couldn't white people?
Chef D, I'm not pushing back against you today. I'm taking notes today.
What are you rolling up a raw right now?
You can see me? No.
Yes, we can see.
I'm joking. Go ahead.
No, listen. No. It's all good. Like I said, I think again, I wish that that our focus was on was on the actual council. Like for example, there's numerous scholarly works and stuff that was done. Yeah, I did mention the melanin map earlier. And when you look at the melanin map, you actually, the people in that region are the same color. That they're largely the same color. They have colors that are similar to the people who are right across the sea and things like that there. And so you have similar color distributions there. Which sub-Saharan Africans have have darker hues and colors, things like that, depending on where you are. But yeah, there are melanin maps. So mountain people and things like that tend to have similar skin colors and things because of altitude, climate, diet, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so melanin maps, those are real. As a matter of fact, let's. Let's do this. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, one of the y'all ever talk to any Hebrew Israelites?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, so when you talk to Hebrew Israelites, this is one of the funniest things too. Hebrew Israelites will make a reference to an anthropologist by the name of Theodore Waite. He has a book called Introduction to Anthropology, written like the late 1800s or something like that, like I think 1856 or something like that. But they love to cite him because he came up in a book called We the Black Jews by Ben Yosef, actually one of the dudes who's parroted these ideas, and Ben Yosef Yohanan parroted himself as an Egyptologist as well. But he's largely responsible for the Hebrew Israelite doctrine and these beliefs. But anyhow, can you see my screen? I'm trying to share this screen.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So yeah, so as you can see here, this is one of the this is one of the melanin maps here.
Can you zoom in?
This is a college text college site. Hang on. Hang on. Yeah, hang on.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, so in the melanin map here again, you see this sort of this distribution of skin color and things like that. And so across here, across the north, right over here, so right, we've got like Cairo, Egypt, and things like that, right? Tunisia, Libya, Morocco, all that kind of stuff. That's going to be up here in this region here. That these are more fair-skinned peoples. And so now you have again distribution of skin colors that's sort of all over the map. But again, and what you see here though is when you start looking at Asia. Start looking at Asia over here, you actually see that there's this range of skin colors here that's the same as continental Africa. I'm talking about you see the lightest people up here, right? The northwestern part, right? And then you see these same color distributions over here in Asia. So you got the full range of colors. So you don't get right over here, like he's not picking. I'm sending you my map now. Listen, there's no dispute. This is a college resource. This isn't anything I made up. Again, you're taking the geography course. This is what you're gonna find. This same thing. But again, this distribution of skin colors, and so you'll find that there's a range of skin color all over. This is again why, when talking to people, if they talk about people being dark and things like that, so whatever this color is, these colors right here, over here in Central and West Africa, right here. You see some of these people wear the same color over here in Native America, right? And then you see these Aboriginals down here, like would have been in Africa, have colors that are like Sub-Saharan Africa down here. But what people will do is they'll see people with this skin color, and they say, oh, well, those people, the only people who would have a skin color like that are going to be Africans. Therefore, the Aboriginals are Africans. Or these people over here, look, these are dark-skinned people having darker skin in the Mesoamericas or the prehistoric Americas or the pre-colonial Americas. It must be African. The point is that it's just simply not the case. And you could have people who are super dark, like people over in India, super dark over here, like in India, right? Over like in the Arabian Peninsula and Yemen and things like that. It says nitpicking why Europe all white. Excuse me. That's actually false. Everybody in Europe is one. What you're seeing is that above the equator, that these people have a particular skin color. Above the equator. And so when you're asking that sort of question, one, there's different skin distribution over in Europe, which is why you're seeing stuff like this. It's not all one style of skin color. There's distribution of skin color over here in Europe. But depending on where you are, there's also like when you're dealing with the Slavic peoples and people who are like the descendants of Vikings, things that like a lot of them, they have certain skin color, certain features, blonde hair, blue eyes, that kind of thing. They have particular distributions of phenotypes, phenotypic expression. But back to Theodore Waite. One of the books Hebrew Israelites love because Ben Yosef misquoted Theodore Waite several times. And if you run through the chapter, if you run through the book, We the Black Jews, you're going to find when you check his sources, he miscites Theodore Waite and several other people all the time. All you do is you download the books. You can go read Introduction to Anthropology on archive.org, and you can find, when you go look at the page and everything, that Ben Yosef misquoted them. But Ben Yosef actually documents, though, that they're being European people, like from Spain and Portugal. Who, right over here, and look how light the skin color is, that when they were in parts of Africa, like West Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, that they experienced a change in skin color, that they experienced this change in skin color and hair texture because of the climate. So it's not impossible. So if anyone's of the impression that white people can't survive in certain climates, it's just not true. It is natural for human phenotypes to adapt to where you are. So if you can tan, you can survive. So anyway, that's this right here, tells us there's this distribution of skin color, and a lot of it has to do just from the equator, climate, diet, that kind of stuff. So that's the point.
That's one map you pulled up. I got indigenous map that shows darker melanated people going all the way up to the tip, and right by the Africa region will be only cream. And to your statement earlier, you're saying Europeans inhabited Africa first, or you're just saying lighter skinned?
No. I'm telling you that the genome sequencing said that they were European.
Okay. That's crazy.
And we pulled up the nature.com article. Brother A1 shared it. That's not what I said. That's what the genome sequencing said.
So when I get to my laptop, I'll pull up something that'll counter you.
You can counter nature.com.
The out of Africa theory. So if they came out of Africa and came up through the Nile Valley, right, and they ended up in Europe. And you're saying they doubled back once they mutated that gene and they came back to inhabit?
Well, the out of Africa theory talks about how many hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Wouldn't that be first though? You're talking about who inhabited that land first.
So, right. So
yeah.
So yes, we are talking about who inhabited that land first. Yes,
correct.
Yes, we are. Now, watch this. Where did they leave out of Africa?
Up through the Nile Valley.
No. Where did they come from? Where's the starting point? Civilization.
My theory, or you talk about science?
No. Listen, you talked about the out of Africa theory, and you talk about people leaving out of there, and
yes.
then whether they double back after they mutated or whatever.
The oldest living people on this planet are the Pygmy Twa and the Khoisan people. Those people who one of those groups broke off, worked their way up the Nile Valley.
That's fine. That's not my question. Where are they from?
The Khoi, there would be
modern day. Where are they from?
South Africa.
Okay, so South Africa. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you have these people. You have something that says that these people settled continuously in the land of where ancient Kemet would be.
Do I have something that says those people they're here, they're there today?
No. That's not my question. Did they continually settle in that land? And these were the people who then established ancient Kemet. You have something for that?
The Nile Valley people, yes. You have the Nile Valley civilization that came up through South Africa.
I don't mind. Listen, I'm not disputing that there were people there. So this is why I keep saying I'm not disputing that there were people there. when it was stated that these people who were there in this region, according to some tile, were dark-skinned people. The nature.com article that I posted, that I shared right in here, the one that's on the screen right now, says that sub-Saharan, it says right here, ancient Egyptian mummy genome suggests an increase of sub-Saharan African ancestry in post-Roman periods. I didn't write it.
Okay, just because you didn't write it don't mean it's right.
Okay, that's fine. So all you have to do, dispute the science. Can you scroll down to methodology?
Yes, once I get to my laptop, I got you. But I just wanted to be clear on your statement. Was it that Europeans populated that area first? That was the first people that went through North Africa and established the culture or something? What are you saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. The genome sequencing of the mummy suggests that sub-Saharan Africans came largely in the post-Roman period.
Okay. That's not speaking to
you're
indigenous people.
When you get your
laptop, I thought you
right?
were speaking to the indigenous people of that area. You're talking about pharaohs and dynasties. They genome sequenced the pharaohs, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So what about the indigenous people?
Okay. So I guess what you're saying is you're positing that there were like European pharaohs in the pre-Roman period, and then there were no sub-Saharan African leaders. Who would have been fighting for the pharaohs in order to conquer these indigenous people?
Oh, first off, I just realized that your article actually states that it only tested DNA from a certain period.
Yeah,
so that actually spans from like 2000. That's like only like around. No, wait. Let me finish. That's only from around 2000 BC. Up until the period where Rome controlled. So that period you're actually talking about, from that period, you're actually talking about Iranians and Arabs that was actually in power at that time, like Akhenaten and his son who had to come in and overthrow him to return power to Egypt. But then later on, the Romans came in and took over. So what you're not actually talking about ancient Egyptians that came before foreigners came. No, wait. You're not actually talking about those people that actually established Egyptians' DNA. You're actually talking about foreigner DNA.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. What sort of peoples were mummified?
No. We're not going through that. You're talking about a period of time that was actually tested, not the totality of all the rulers.
There has never been a time when any of anything has ever been tested. That's not the way you do any survey.
Okay, so we're not. So what we're not going to do is segment it as if this is the foundation of Egyptian history, because it is not.
So one, I did not segment. I don't know what segment means in that context. Anyhow, what I stated was exactly what the article says. Now,
Okay, and the article does not the article does not test those individuals that came before that period, do they not? Because it says in the article which period they tested and what point they tested up to. That we know for a fact what rulers were in power at that point in time. So you cannot we cannot use this as a foundation for the genetic genome of Egypt.
Okay, so watch this. It says, we're gonna read the title because we're gonna read the title.
I know we've already read the title so many times. This is my dispute. This is my dispute with the title. This is my dispute with it. We've already read the title. This is my dispute with it.
Yeah, I heard you. Are you letting me respond?
Hold on. Let me ask this one question, right? I just want to ask this one question because according to this source that I'm dropping here right now, which gets into the Terraneta tile, right? It says since the premature death at 42 years of age, its founders, Jean-Francois Champollion, 1970 to 1842, conventional Egyptologists had covered up and ignored the truth about ancient Egypt / Kemet. Chronology, history, culture, technology, and spirituality. For example, although geographically ancient Egypt, Kemet proper, North River portion without cataracts is a part of the African continent. The study of ancient Egypt / Kemet is taught as an Asian or Oriental culture and civilizations in the world mainstream universities, colleges, secondary, and elementary schools. That it says here now, a major breakthrough in defalsifying ancient Egypt Kemet occurred under the auspices of the United Nations. In 1982, escaping the virtual house arrest in Senegal, Africa, Black African Senegalese nuclear physicist, professor, and Egyptologist Cheikh Anta Diop, who wrote the African Origin of Civilization, Myth, or Reality. In 1974, came to the UN in New York City, where he challenged the world's Egyptologists to prove his premise that Black African cultures and languages were the foundation of ancient Egypt, Kemet civilization, and hieroglyphic based on aggregate language. Cheikh Diop actually received no challenges to his premise from a world's community of Egyptologists. The United Nations is thus supporting the development and corrected history of education defalsifying ancient Egypt and Kemet and Black African contributions to West Africa. Now, I like to know who actually went to the United Nations and actually challenged what he put there, because I haven't read anything on that. But it does tell you right here clearly who they found to be the actual founders of Kemet, which were Nubians, Cushites, Meroe, and Anu Antiu, or collectively known as the Anu people.
Okay.
So here, what I'm showing here is this Terraneta tile, and Terraneta was an actual man. He was actually a priest in the mystery schools of the Anu people. And this goes back to the pre-dynastic period of like 5000 BC, if not further. But it clearly shows you through the artifacts that this does depict a Black man. So does that look, does that depiction, I know it's kind of on it's not the actual glyph, but does that depiction look like it could be anyone other than a Black African man?
I think that I'm not going to stereotype a photograph and play a hand into the sort of things that were used during the minstrel period, where you start defining Black people as having a wide nose or anything like that. That's why I thought it was kind of
well. Hold on. If that's a little bit challenging, I'm gonna bring the actual hieroglyph up for you.
No.
Therefore, we don't have.
Here's what I'm telling you. Olmec peoples, people from the Tabasco region, in Mexico, have dark skin and wide noses. They're not remotely African. They're not remotely black. The trope that black people have these wide noses and things like that is a racist one that I do not simply participate in. And so asking me
no. First off, understanding how to
stop cutting me off. I'm in the middle of responding to what the brother said. So asking me to depict a dark African man, that is a racist trope that I think is kind of funny. So again, during the menstrual period, this is the thing. Olmec peoples have wide nose people from all over the place. Some Aboriginal peoples who have no connection to especially no recent connection to Africa, anything like that. They have similar structures. So looking at this and saying this is, it's kind of funny to me. But to get back to what Mike stated earlier, maybe Mike could tell me when did these foreigners come in the second millennium BCE that we're looking at their genome sequencing? What foreigners came in at this time?
Are you asking me why we refer to Greeks as Greeks and Europeans as Europeans and Arabs as Arabs?
No, sir. The question I asked was very simple and in English. What I asked was, you were talking about these people here in the genome sequencing.
Let me answer that by going back to the fact
can you
that.
tell me my question is first? What's my question?
Dear God, let me answer your question, fool.
Tell me what my question
First off, let me go back to the fact that the people that live in the Nile Valley area were dark skinned.
This is
the people. Wait. Let me get finished. You told me not to cut. You told me not to cut you off, and I gave you respect, right? So give me a minute. So the Nile Valley people were dark skinned. The people who lived in Kush were dark skinned. The people who lived in Sudan were dark skinned. Right or wrong?
Okay, no. So again,
right. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and continue by saying right.
Okay.
Because that is absolutely correct. The people who we refer to as Arabs came from the Arabian Peninsula. The people we refer to as Caucasians came from the Caucasus Mountains. The people we refer to as Greek came from the Greek Isles.
Okay.
These are absolute facts, sir. We cannot argue against these.
Okay. Hang on. Wait. No. No. Listen. You can argue against several things what you're saying because it's ridiculous. The Ionian.
Can you do it with genetics?
The Ionian coast was that the Ionian coast? Is that part of ancient Greece? Go ahead and Google it. This is a real thing. This is what I'm saying. So you say a bunch of stuff that's basic that you don't actually know. Is the Ionian coast part of ancient Greece? Yes or no? TikTok.
I'll let you answer your own question. Keep going, sir.
Is the what? That sound like deflecting. Is the what?
It really is. That's why I'm gonna let him answer his own. That's why I'm gonna let him answer his own question. So now you need to explain. You need to explain. Yes, you need to explain how these people. You need to explain how these people are indigenous to Africa, but Africans are not indigenous to their own civilization.
Stay on
so the two geniuses talking. This is not deflecting. What he said, geniuses, was that he just stated facts that cannot be disputed. One of the facts that he stated, I challenged specifically and said that he didn't know what he's talking about. He started talking about the Greek Isles. I then asked, was the Ionian coast part of? I asked, was the Ionian coast part of ancient Greece? This is a yes or no question. He won't answer the question because he has no idea. He can't Google fast enough. And so when you talk about the Greek Isles, now there are Greek Isles. But the Ionian coast, part of Turkey, those people were Greeks. And so again, when you say the people from Greece, they came from the Greek Isles. No. Ancient Greeks, that was a whole host of people, including people from modern day Turkey. But again, these are.
Are you referring to the people that became part of the Greek Empire, right?
No, not became part of the Greek Empire. People who were Greeks from the beginning. You can read about this in Thucydides. You can read about it in the entirety of Greek history. These people were Greeks from jump. They were Greeks from jump. Ancient Greek philosophers, well before there was anything even remotely related to Macedonians and Alexander the Great or Philip or anything like that. Before there was any.
Okay, now prove how they are native to the construct of Africa. Prove how they no sir sir, because I just pointed out scientific evidence
that
these people No.
You gonna let me respond?
Because all you do is discredit what somebody else has done.
Yes,
but that's not how reality works.
Listen, when you go through and state that you stated a bunch of facts, right? And I'm telling you, you're way off on
What you started off with your argument. What you started off your argument was a segmented post talking about a point of history.
No, listen.
You're not talking about the total history of Egypt.
Listen.
Now, when we went back further, when we went back further, and when we told you who the actual structure of that foundation was, you want to discredit it.
Yes, listen. What you said was, what you and other people have said was, the people who are in this region, they were dark skinned. Say, what's the proof of that? I say,
okay. Now, what's your proof that what is your proof that Romans and Arabs established Egypt? Can I ask you for that?
So as I was stating, it was stated that these people there are dark-skinned Africans. I said, cool. Give me the evidence for it. You then come back, and other people came back and said, well.
But do you have anything that proves that Europeans, that Asians, that Arabians, that these people established the civilization in Africa?
That would have to be my claim, and it was not. So again, if you stop interrupting, because I'm telling you, you're in such fight mode because you've been beaten up so bad here, you keep interrupting and you're not listening to what I'm actually, the points I'm making.
You must be in another world somewhere. You've been going around in circles the whole time, and you just turned around and agreed with me at the last moment.
I'll repeat the same thing. I'll repeat the same thing. Here's what I stated. You got through talking about, and it was stated that these were dark-skinned peoples who were there. And what was stated at the beginning when that came on was that then the Europeans came in and they tried to change the skin color of these people, that they knocked off the noses. I took issue with those particular points. I then started raising issues with it. I then started pointing out what the issues and what the flaws are at that argumentation. And then when I posted a DNA study, right, you came in and said, oh, well, that's from this particular time period. You said those were invaders and stuff. I then asked you, cool, at what point in time during the time period when these mummies, things like that were collected, from time period when these mummies, things like that were buried, what invaders were in Egypt at the time? That was my question. You then went on this long rant talking about these indisputable facts, and you mentioned.
Do you have?
No. Your claim was that that in the article that this is referencing people who were invaders and foreigners. I'm asking you, what foreigners or invaders invaded ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet at that time? Can you answer the question? If this is ancient foreigner. And people who are not from regions, this is their DNA.
Are you seriously asking me? Are you seriously asking me why Alexander the Great marched around?
Alexander the Great came. Alexander the Great came in this period of time where they tested the mummies. These were the people. So from the New Kingdom.
Yes, Alexander the Great made it to Africa.
No, that was Alexander the Great around during the time when these mummies that they sequenced were buried.
Oh my God, bruh.
Yes or no?
Do you have anything that shows otherwise that these people existed?
If you say that this is foreigner DNA, I'm asking what foreigners were there during the New Kingdom. That's what I asked you.
Are we going to discredit the records of Alexander the Great going across Are we going to discredit his records of himself going around and conquering different civilizations all the way up into Africa? Are we going to ignore that?
Alexander the Great was not even alive in the New Kingdom. He was not even alive yet. It's 1,000 years before he came about. So I'm asking you, what foreigners?
You just asked me which foreigners invaded Africa, and I just told you about Alexander the Great's campaign to Africa. That doesn't make sense for you to backtrack and go back to the same point when I just expressed what invader made it to Africa. I just told you which was one of the most he is the most famous person in human history.
No,
how do you discredit his records of going all the way to Africa?
So what I actually said to you was what invaders were there during the New Kingdom, during the time period when these mummies were buried? That's what I asked you. You're talking about Alexander the Great, who's 1,000 years after the New Kingdom. 1,000 years.
So the Romans are native to fucking Egypt now.
Again,
did they not mention the Romans in the article? Did they?
Listen.
So my next question is: are the people from the Arabian Peninsula native to Egypt?
So
yes or no?
You still
are the people? No. What? Are the people? No, you keep asking me the question and I keep answering it for you, and you're too ignorant to accept it. Because the Romans were from Rome, which is Greek. The Arabians came from the Arabian Peninsula.
Romans are not Greek.
This motherfucker don't understand Greco-Roman history. Holy shit. That's why this is why this is.
We gotta be easy on the language, gentlemen.
Excuse me. But this is why you don't understand why Alexander's the Great conquest to Africa was so important to European and Roman history. This is why you confused as to why this foreign DNA was introduced into this land.
Brother A1, a couple things. One, I want you to look at the book that I'm holding up here, right? So a couple things I want you to notice. One is Alexander the Great. Two, Alexander the Great is missing a nose. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I'm gonna read something here about Alexander the Great, because if this comes, let's do this. I'm gonna hold up my book of ancient Egypt, and then we're gonna look at the timeline here. Egypt, Gods, Myths, and Religion by Lucia Gallen. The time period when these things would have happened, this would have been late New Kingdom, when these mummies, things like that, they're looking at. Okay, so we're talking about something that would have been 1550 BCE, when these mummies, things like that, are sequenced. Now, Alexander the Great, however, came about 1,000 years or so later. I believe it was 5th century. Looking for his birth date here because I actually don't think it's. I believe it's 5th century. So you're talking about 1,000 years of difference between the two time periods. What the gentleman stated was that this is foreigners. This is the foreigner DNA and stuff that we're seeing, who were in ancient Kemet at the time. But this is 1,000 years before Alexander the Great was even born. 1,000 years before Alexander the Great was even born. So then how could this possibly be foreigner DNA? If this is not DNA that goes back to the earlier dynastic periods, then tell me where this DNA came from the mummies. When I asked the very relevant question, well, what sort of people were mummified? Are these mummifying ordinary, everyday people? Does the mummification not suggest something about their status? I believe it does. And if it does, why were these people mummified? And what he said again, foreigner DNA. If this foreigner DNA, when did these foreigners come in? What foreigners are these whose DNA we're sequencing? That's a very simple question. Don't just say it's foreigner DNA. Which foreigners are there? Because it wasn't Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was the first of those to come in there, and then the Romans came in after that. After Alexander the Great's empire was broken up into, I believe, 7 Greek kingdoms, and the Ptolemies ruled that particular region, including Palestine and ancient Egypt. When the Ptolemaic dynasty ruled that region with Cleopatra and all of them, and King Ptolemy and all this stuff. So again, the question is which foreigners are there? This is 1,000 years before Alexander. So it couldn't be the Romans, and it can't be the Greeks, because the Greeks ain't came in yet. What foreigner DNA are we looking at? That's the question, and let's see if we get a straight answer. Which foreigners are these? 1,000 years before Alexander. Which ones? He's probably still Googling, trying to figure out the Ionian code.
I was gonna say, even if he, no, go ahead. I'm gonna let him.
No. I'm done.
No, like when I started out talking about people like the Akkadians and their being a part of the Mesopotamian culture and how they switched their allegiance time and time again, you act like it's a brand new concept for foreign DNA to be introduced into a population. And so when I mention official when I mention official records about what individuals campaigned to Africa, you completely dismiss it as it being not credited because you're saying it's not from the same time period. So what you're actually asking for is a migratorial period of the European DNA or foreign DNA into Africa. So are you what you sound like you're doing is, it sounds like you're trying to challenge science itself when it talks about our migration patterns going all the way back to the Stone Age area, because you mentioned earlier about how the Aboriginals in Australia are not African, but their history spans back over 50,000 years.
Listen, this is off topic. Again, I'm asking, if you're saying that this foreign DNA, right? If that's what you're saying, this could be foreign DNA. 151 mummies tested. I'm asking, and these are mummies. Are you
okay? So so this is what I'm trying to clear up. Are you asking me?
Why were Europeans in Egypt being mummified? Just answer that. Why were Europeans in Egypt in the New Kingdom? Why were Egyptians in the New Kingdom being mummified?
Are you talking about their admixture when the time when they lived in Egypt?
No, listen. I want to know why there were Europeans in Egypt being mummified. This is not a difficult question, because the genome sequencing says the Europeans. I'm asking.
So what you're doing? Okay, so what you're doing is you're challenging archaeological.
You know what I'm doing? I just want you to tell me why they were there. Which foreigners are these? Why were they there? Why were these Europeans mummified?
Look, we all know the history about Arabian culture coming in and their influence.
Cool. So what in Egyptian history tells us that Arabians had came in and had achieved this status to be mummified in the New Kingdom, 1500 BCE. What history do we have? What history do we have of ancient Kemet that says that these Arabians came in and that they had apparently achieved such status that they could afford to be and were mummified? Go.
What? So you're arguing against the records themselves because these people were from.
I'm just asking you a basic question. What?
What you're asking is a ridiculous question, because what you're doing is you're arguing against the evidence of existence itself.
No. Again, this is circular. I'm saying, what evidence do you have? You're saying you're arguing against the evidence. What evidence? The evidence. So what evidence do you have that tells me that these Arabians came in the New Kingdom and it apparently achieved some status to be mummified, that we're going to find 151 of them buried there? Go. What kind of mama's doing right now? Anything. All right, Chef Darius, let me ask you a question. What are you cooking?
Is my mic going off?
Fried chicken, mac and cheese, collard green. It was all pre-cooked. I'm just heating it back up.
Hey, you going to hell for that, bro? What you heating for, brother? You gonna reheat, brother? Come on, man. Are you at least gonna refry the chicken?
It's not the chicken is fresh. Everything is in the crock. I made it this morning.
Okay, good. Hey, listen, bro, I was about to damn you to hell. Listen, man. I ain't a chef like yourself, but I moonlight as one, man. And so, listen, I didn't want you doing that. You know what I mean? Don't do that to our people.
Hell no. Everything cooked to order, but like collard greens and like baked mac, I just make it in the morning and I just keep it in the warmers so I sell out. I'm about to sell out now here though.
Brother, where you at? What region you in, man?
Northeast Ohio.
Northeast Ohio, man. Listen, man. Got some folks out that way. As a matter of fact, I got an uncle who's actually. I know nothing about Ohio geography. How far is that from Cleveland?
It's about 30 minutes away.
Okay, yeah. See, I got an uncle shooting some little movie, something like that he's doing. But anyway, he's out there and he's out there in Cleveland trying to shoot the thing. He just hit me up the other day. He wants a video of my dogs or something like that he wants to use as part of the thing. But anyway, man, shout out to you. I might have to. Where are you cooking out of? You do it. You like cook stuff up and plates and stuff.
Yeah, food. I got a little food truck trailer I got, and if I got big catering orders, I do it out the commercial kitchen. But right now, I'm just at the spot.
Well, if you don't mind, what's the name of the thing, man? Because I got people out there where I might tell them, man, come check out the food truck. It ain't no funny business. I just want to support.
Soul Foods and Arts. Tell them if they in Northeast Ohio or Cleveland area, they could Google it. Soul Foods and Arts. SOL. foods, and arts.
Okay, man,
Like
brother,
paint parties and all that.
Brother, I sure appreciate it, man. Listen, man, shout out to you, man, and the hard work, man. I love to see it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Listen, I'm on my way. I'm on my way out. Listen, man, about to head out. But listen, anybody got any last shots that want to take? You get the last word before I run out.
You're a player, Professor Ogilvy.
Hey, man, listen, you know how it is.
Yeah, no. What I was gonna say is, what I'm gonna do from, for the next show that we do, just in case this conversation does come up, I'm gonna go ahead and get my presentation together for it, because this was just kind of, off the
Hey, it was definitely impromptu. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So no. Next time I'll have something better prepared. But it's definitely. I did share that information in the in our. You know what? It was on the mainstream. I should have put that in private chat. So that's what I'll do tonight. I'll try to make sure I share that information with y'all, so y'all can take a look at that particular book, and maybe even look at the later editions as well.
Brother A1,
I think you'll find it very informative.
Brother A1, be sure when he drops that, put it into the little chat that we in together, so I can see it.
Got you. I got you. What's your name in there again? What's your name?
Yes, so I'm Leandre. So Leandre Spook Williams McBride on there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay. No,
Yes, that's
but
me.
Now
yes.
I can put a face to the name.
Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, look, lady just came here telling me that we got to get rolling, so I'm headed out to an event. But listen, appreciate y'all. Appreciate the conversation, man. Looking forward to another time, man. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you too, brother.
All right, man.
All right, peace.
All right, yeah. Send me that information, and I'll put some slides together for you on that.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. In fact, if you can email me your email address, or send me your email address, and then that way I can get the entire PDF over to you. And that way you can take a look at this for yourself, and we could put together a whole presentation on this. Because, like I said, man, Diop took this to the United Nations, and it went unchallenged. And until I can find anyone that's actually challenged that, it stands to me. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
kind of ridiculous. I had to go around in circles. Like I already explained the existence of the Now Valley people, and just like I don't know why I had to keep going around to the introduction of foreign DNA when you already have on record who was the oldest people living there around 8,000 BC. We only got 10,000 years of recorded history back to 10,000 BC. So they on record at 8,000 BC being black. I don't know what else you can do to change that one.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to, source up, call them out.
Yeah, you got to dig back farther than that one. I'm like, if you can't go back further than the Nile Valley population that lived in 8,000 BC that established Egypt, then you ain't got nothing.
One thing I did want to point out that I actually didn't get around to is that we have to understand Kemet was the youngest of civilizations along Nile Valley, but it was the most advanced. Now, so with that in mind, you got to look at places like Tasseti, which is Nubia. And this is where you get your origins of Kemet. You look at the early dynastic periods of Kemet, they have a heavy influence of Nubia, very heavy. So
didn't even bring up the fact that he showed a map from fucking 1940, but we ain't gonna get on that. But
it was like he said, it was an impromptu, man.
Yeah,
he's good at the impromptu.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous argument.
You have time to prepare. If you can pull him out of some deep waters. It's real. It gets real crazy though. But he's a sharp. He's a sharp character.
Start having some of this stuff.
I enjoyed listening to that conversation. I was just sitting back, listening, studying.
That's kind of what I've done for the past 2 days, is really observe a lot. And it's more or less now at this point is me just starting to upload information in here so that it could be presented. You know what I mean? Because I could sit here and freestyle and talk about this stuff all day, or, read it off my own devices or whatnot. But it's different when you can put down that presentation.
Definitely. It's a whole different ball game when you got the full clip for him. You feel me? And hello, tap, 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 tap. Take him out the game, man. All headshots, man. That's how we coming, man.
Heck yeah.
the Crusaders is out. We Christian hunting. You know what I'm saying? The title of this one was how they took over the planet. And it's funny, he came and took over the podcast. But again, I enjoyed it. So, you know, I'm not tripping at all.
And the Eurocentric point of view was really kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's what he does. Like, again, I enjoy it though. You know, it's good for the viewers.
The
numbers ran up, so I was letting it run. Then my computer fell over. So I'm on my phone right now, but I'm controlling everything through my computer. I restarted it, but now I'm not getting no sound. I can't use my mic. So luckily, I was able to finish this show out, though. You know, where there's a will, there's a way. So,
we made
it happen. And I'm gonna just double back, and we actually gonna do this again because I didn't get into any of these slides that we're about to go over.
Brother, I would love to go ahead and do maybe a part 2 of this and a continuation.
Oh, we definitely are.
Because like you said, we haven't really presented any information. Or really, we didn't get into it as deep as what we planned on doing it, but
definitely
we can always do that next show if you like.
Definitely not. Yeah, we were about to get into this doctrine of discovery, religious delusion. I'm just gonna bounce through a couple of these slides though, real quick. Just a couple of them, and you know we come back to what shapes your moral compass. You know, we light saucing it today. This really isn't a lesson. These were just things for us to keep the flow of the conversation going. But again, he came in and gave us a dope episode. So, you know, this is where I was going with it. You know, we're just going to talk about how they took over the world with these different religions. Jizya, and again, Islam, you're not exempt from this. We coming for you. You know, we on your head. Islam, you are on the chopping block. We will be back next week.
Most definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Go to get chopping.
Shout out.
Did you notice that my lips are purple?
Show, subscribe.
So I think he dropped his laptop again.
Oh man! Oh snap!
Any final words, gentlemen?